Match day 22 of the English Premier League live here on Joy Sports and Motor TV. If you're a fan of Arsenal, you get to see Arsenal in action yet again. This afternoon, it's going to be a London derby at the Emirates Stadium as Arsenal versus Fulham in the next 30 minutes. We'll be back after this break. Match day 22 of the English Premier League live here on Joy Sports and Motor TV. And in the next couple of minutes, we're going to be going live to the Emirates Stadium to keep you up to speed with the game that we're bringing you this afternoon. It's Arsenal versus Fulham. But before we do that, let's quickly make our way to the Emirates Stadium and bring you the team news, who gets to play and who is not available for selection for any of the two teams. That should be on the screen pretty shortly as we get to see who makes the cut today and who does not make the cut today with that team news. Let's get to see it quickly. Well, so this is what we're picking from the Emirates Stadium this afternoon. The host Arsenal, they are not going to be without Thomas Vermaelen, the skipper of the team. Of course, he's unavailable for selection as a result of his knee injury. Thomas Rosicky and Nicholas Bendtner are also not available for selection. And of course, Theo Walcott, we all do know he's out for the season. And Aaron Ramsey, he is still recuperating. And Nacho Monreal, he's rated at 50-50 for this game. We'll be confirming the starting 11 for you as we pick up some more team news coming in from the Emirates Stadium this afternoon. So here we are, quite a number of players unavailable for Arsenal this afternoon. Abu Diaby, I don't recall the last time he played in an Arsenal game. And Yaya Sanogo, he was brilliant for the French under-20 team in Turkey at the World Cup. He's barely made any action for the Gunners side. And Fulham, well, they have practically all the players available for selection later this afternoon. Let's pick up some match trivia. For those of you interested in the stats, let's pick up some trivia here. Fulham have never won away at Arsenal in any competition, losing 22 of the last 27 visits to whether it was a hybrid, of course, or these days, the Emirates Stadium. And Darren Bent has scored 8 goals in his last 10 appearances in all competitions against Arsenal. So if he gets to play for those of you who've been keeping tabs over those games, chances are that he may score. And Arsenal have won their last 8 home matches against the bottom 6 teams. So clubs who travel to the Emirates Stadium these days, not lucky to go home with anything. A bit more information on this game. This will be Arsenal's 200th Premier League London derby, and they've won 103 of these games. They've drawn up to 55. They've lost 41 of these games. Well, the English would keep you up to speed with a lot of information concerning some of these statistics. And the Gunners have kept 7 clean sheets in their last 8 games in all competitions at the Emirates Stadium. And Fulham, well, what a season is turning out to be for them. They've been conceding goal after goal after goal. Away from the match facts, let's keep up with the head-to-head of the two teams. The last 5 matches involving Fulham and Arsenal in all competitions. Again, that should be on your screen pretty shortly. So here we are. These are the last 5 games involving the two teams in all competitions. Incidentally, the last 5 games between the two teams have been played in the English Premier League. And when you watch the results in there, very, very close. Arsenal have done their best to win quite a number of these games. Fulham have also done their best to get some decent results in these games as well. We get to see the last 5 matches that the two teams have played in all competitions. Again, that should be on your screen pretty shortly as we get to see the last 5 matches of the two teams. So hold it there. Well, what a form Arsenal going into this game with. They've won 5. All 5, actually, of their last 5 games they've played in all competitions, from the English Premier League to the FA Cup. And Fulham, on the other hand, have been able to win 2. Well, the results have not been coming in thick and fast for the team that plays at the Craven Cottage. But, well, here they are, winning quite a number of their games in all competitions. Arsenal, brilliant form they do go into this afternoon's game with. And at this point, I'll get to introduce my guests who are going to be helping me with the analysis for this afternoon's encounter between Arsenal and Fulham. Coach Christopher Nimley is to my immediate left. And, of course, our regular in-house pundit, Nana Ajimai, is also with me. Nana, Arsenal in some brilliant form going into this afternoon's form, winning 5 of their last 5.
And keeping a clean sheet in 7 out of their last 8. So, you know, it's their 200th league derby as well. And I'm sure they're up for it. A lot of teams chasing the pack. Who would have thought after the first Arsenal game that they would still be leading, but they are.
When we were here, when they lost by 1-3 to Aston Villa, I recall that.
You see, and now they are here. The pack is chasing. They're in fantastic form. The last match they played against Villa, of course, they dominated that completely. Over 600 passes, 87% completion rate, over a dozen shots on target, more than half of those forcing saves, and all the rest. They're able to combine long with short, and they dominate in the middle of the park. And really, one of the best things about Arsenal is their recovery rate, and the way that they're able to come back into defence and recover the ball without conceding free kicks. That's the way the game has evolved. Before, teams used to break up attacks but concede free kicks. Arsenal don't do this. They come back, they recover the ball without conceding free kicks, and then they go on the counter. So they're in very, very good form. The likes of Cazorla dominating proceedings, Wiltshire, you know, they're very key players there. Then you'd expect them to show themselves up in a match like this against Sidwell and Parker. You'd expect them to dominate. You don't expect that there's really going to be any opposition. Of course, the first 15 to 20 minutes, anything can happen, and that can be a boost for Fulham if it's in the positive for them. But overall, Arsenal, very good form. They know what they're going for this season, and they're going all the way for it. It's actually going to take a miracle to stop them.
Well, none of things is going to take a miracle to stop Arsenal at this point. I'm not too sure what you're thinking. If you're a fan of Arsenal, or if you're a fan of Man City, if you're a fan of Chelsea, if you're a fan of Liverpool, all the teams that are in the chasing pack. And talk of how Arsenal have been brilliant in the last couple of games that they've played in all competitions. Let's get to see a few Arsenal games at this point as we continue with our analysis ahead of this game against Fulham. That should be on your screen pretty shortly. And thus, I recall, was the game against Aston Villa on Monday, where they won by 2-1. Some fans say only just, because Villa did get themselves into the game at some point, and they could have easily gotten the equalizer and the game. Coach, I would want to believe that you followed quite a number of Arsenal games of this season, and again, everybody keeps stressing that when we watched Arsenal on match day 1 and how poorly they performed incidentally against Aston Villa at the Emirates Stadium, nobody, absolutely no one anywhere on this planet would have thought that going into match 22, and you look at the number of weeks Arsenal have been top of the log, you've got to give them some credit.
Of course, credit should be given to them. And I believe if there was anybody who did believe that after losing 1-3 to Aston Villa the very first day of the league season, that person was Arsene Wenger. He said that we have just started and there is 37 more games to go. I believe I have built a team over the years who is more than capable of competing against the best, and that is what we have beginning to see, or we've seen throughout the season until now. On paper, per the history of this game, it is practically impossible to see Fulham go all the way to the Emirates to get a result, because in 110 years, they have never beaten Arsenal in any competition. And that is how difficult the task it is today for Fulham to go and try and see whether they can reverse. The bottom line is that Fulham as a team, they've not played so well this season. They've actually leaked in goals upon goals upon goals upon goals. And if you are playing against a team that is so dominating in terms of the ball possession and creating chances upon chances, and if you look at the defensive record of Fulham in this particular league season, the one actually fears the worst for them, because Fulham is the team that has conceded up to 18 goals in 4 games. They conceded 4 against Man City and 6 against Hull, 4 against Everton, and then 4 against another team that I just can't remember who it was at the time.
Well, they
so
considered 6 against Hull City,
yeah, all in total 18 goals in 4 outings.
And someone would say that the form in which Fulham are going into this game with, if Multimedia puts up a decent side, we could get a result.
Possibly.
Of course,
but let me say this. They've allowed 133 shots on their goal, which is more than any other club in the Premier League.
So that tells you how porous their defense is, or how porous the team in totality defend. So against an Arsenal team, knowing very well that they have only a point advantage over Man City, and they know very well what is going to happen tomorrow at the Bridge, where Chelsea host Manchester United. Arsenal want to establish at least a 4-point lead over Man City today. Man City also is playing simultaneously. So let's keep the gap between Man City and ourselves at 1 point, and let's see how Chelsea respond tomorrow against Man United.
Well, that's in another 24 hours, and I'm sure for fans at the Emirates Stadium this afternoon, 60,000 plus, I'm sure they'll be keeping tabs on Arsenal getting all 3 points, and of course that game that's coming up between Man United and Chelsea later tomorrow. But these are highlights of quite a number of Arsenal games that we put together going into this afternoon's encounter. They've been winning match after match after match. I think that in the last couple of games that they've played in all competitions, it's only Chelsea and Everton, I recall, who've been able to pick something off them in their last 10, 11, 12 games thereabout. But now, one interesting thing that caught my attention in the course of the week is that I'm told that in 28 games plus in the last 2 years, when Laurent Koscielny and Per Mertesacker have played together in that Arsenal defense, they have not lost a game. From what I gather, the two players are going to be starting today. So for those of you who believe in statistics, if these two teams are in action, Arsenal are not going to be losing.
Yeah, well, they will be there.
They are there.
Yeah, they are there. They are there. But the game is not essentially about them. It's the combination of Wilshere, Cazorla, and this young boy Gnabry.
Serge Gnabry, the young guy, German international.
He's also fantastic, you know. And they'll run riot down the right and down the left-hand side, and just capture the centre of the park for themselves with the likes of Wilshere and Flamini. And you can expect Sagna to be coming also, doing overlapping and recovering very well on the right-hand side as well. They've got so much strength in that side. There's so much youth and enthusiasm and zest and life within that team. There's so much up for this. It's unbelievable.
There's so much up for this, it's going to be unbelievable. And I recall after this game against the Man City somewhere early November, where Arsenal lost by 6-3, there were question marks raised about how far Arsenal could go, but how they responded with some brilliant results in games. And Coach, I come back to you again. This Arsenal team, you would say, is a team that has been built over the years with quality additions along the way. But credit, you have to go to that man, Arsene Wenger, and how over the last couple of years, even when Arsenal have struggled to win anything, he has believed in these players that at some point they were going to become the finished article. I'm not too sure if they are at the moment.
Somebody may argue, or some people may argue, that maybe they may not be there yet. But it is clear for everyone.
They are getting there if they are not there.
Exactly. It is clear for everyone to see that it is just a matter of time. If they are not there yet, they will certainly get there. I want to believe that it is all about the man, Arsene Wenger, continuing believing in what he believes in. He's already said that I want the game to be played in a certain way, and he's not the type who will say that he will go in for those hard, rugged type of physical players. After the era of the Vieiras, the Tony Andams, the Petit, he decided that, look, I want to build an academy. I want to build boys who actually
slick passing,
that is technically
1, 2,
players
3
who
touch
are
passing,
very, very good and up to the task. And that is what he's done over the years. It is so beautiful to watch. I believe sincerely, apart from a certain Bayern Munich, not a Barcelona, currently, apart from a certain Bayern Munich, Arsenal is the best possessive football team.
Well, there's someone at Bayern Munich these days, and he's making the difference. We all do know that.
Wherever he goes, his team would definitely enjoy possession of the game or of the football. And I believe that for Arsene Wenger, as to whether Arsenal will win the league or not, I believe he will need a bit of that. Theo Walcott's injury has taken something from this team. Let nobody make any mistake about that. He was scoring at least about 40 to 45% of the goals that they were scoring. Now he's gone for the season. Today is on the 8th thing.
But he wasn't a starter. He wasn't a starter.
Yeah, at some point before he got injured, he seemed to be scoring match after match.
But
I recall during the Christmas period, he scored quite a number of goals.
Yes, he was an impact substitute.
But he was making the difference.
See, wait.
I recall that very difficult game against the West Ham. I think it was Boxing Day, where after 75 minutes, Arsenal were down, and you just didn't know where they were going to score.
That doesn't. Yeah, fine, no problem. That doesn't deny the fact that he was an impact substitute, and all it means now is that the coach has to ensure that the team he sets out, because he's always going to set out first 11 that doesn't include the boy.
You never know.
The boys. No. The boys. We've seen it. We've seen it match after match. The boy sits on the bench. He brings him in the last 20 minutes. He delivers the goods.
Squad death,
Now,
they call it.
now, what he has to do is prepare the team in such a way that they go out there, the first 11 go out there, and they do the business.
Well, the options available
And
at
they do
that
the
part
business.
of the pitch.
I sincerely
That they do the business.
I sincerely believe that throughout the season until now, the first 11 was good enough to get a job done. But at times, they never got it done.
Injuries,
until he
suspensions.
came in and they made sure that the job was done. Now, another very important player whom I believe they are seriously working on to bring back to match fitness is Aaron Ramsey. Ramsey on virtually from midfield. He's carried the team this season. It's a collective effort, but I believe he's been a standout midfield player in the Arsenal setup this season because he was not only contributing in terms of...
But how many goals has he scored?
He scored more than 11 goals from midfield. If you are
double figures, all competitions this
from
season.
midfield.
Yeah.
So that tells you how
and
influential the player is.
He was getting more goals than the club's lead striker.
Exactly. Until he got injured, he was the leading goal scorer in the team. So all that I'm saying is I believe the medical team of Arsenal are working around the clock to bring these guys back to fitness because to win this league as it stands now,
they need to get everybody fit and everyone onto the pitch. I mean, too many players making their way to the children's room. Arsenal will not be pleased with that. You would forgive us for spending a lot more time on Arsenal, but hey, we've got to look at the opposing team later this afternoon. We're going to be seeing a few Fulham games pretty quickly, and well, it's been just
do we have to?
On a downward.
Do we have to?
To be fair, we have to.
Let's not.
This was the last game they played against Sunderland, and this game was played at Craven Cottage. They lost by 4-1. It's not a case of they travelling and performing poorly. Whether they play in a Craven Cottage or anywhere in England, they are playing poorly, Nana.
Look, their heads are down. This is a club that is finished. As far as this season is concerned, it's finished.
They sacked Martin Yule, they brought in Ray Wallenstein, they brought Alan Kerbishley.
Nothing.
I think they went in for the Chelsea assistant.
No, they might as well employ me.
No, they should employ me.
Maybe that would change their fortunes.
They should employ me, then I'll bring you along as an assistant to something or another.
And maybe that could change their fortunes.
No, it can't change any fortunes. You see, when you've had a bad start, you try to pick up. Yes. And then when it begins to dawn on you that even the picking up you can't do, you just continue down a slippery slope. And they're on a slippery slope. Their slippery slope cannot end until the final whistle of this league season. They're down and they're out. And that's it. They try to pick themselves up at training, and then when they get out to the match, I mean, they realise, look, that the level of the competition is such that these boys just can't compete. Sidwell and Parker need to look for another club. Yeah, they should have jumped ship in January. I don't know what they sat there for. They should have actually
we still have a few more days to go.
They should have actually jumped ship in January and just go to somewhere else. Because that's what they're going to have to do at
why are they not
the
dragging the other players along?
They can't.
It's quite a number of decent players in that squad.
Come on, Berbatov.
So lackadaisical, sluggish. Always trying to apportion the blame.
And if there was one game that really told the world of Fulham were on such a downward slide, it had to be this game. At halftime, we're here, it was 0-0, and after 90 minutes, they had lost by 6 goals.
Yeah, exactly. Can you imagine? Second half. What happened in their changing room?
And look at the opposition. Not even...
But come on, let's give credit to Hull. But I mean, you know, what happens in the changing room at half-time is very, very important.
When they were drawing 0-0.
Yeah, exactly. But can you imagine what happened for them to come back out and lose by 6-0? What did the coach say?
Yeah, coach, tell us.
What were they even saying amongst themselves to come out and such diabolical performance and concede 6? They could only be saying that, well, we've gone as far as we can. We can only last 45 minutes. We've done that 0-0. Now anything can actually happen.
And it happened.
And it happened. Because they don't believe in themselves. They don't believe in the club. They're just picking a salary. They don't believe in the coach. And they're just, you know, going through the motions.
There are 16, 17 points now, 51 points available. I'm not sure they can pick too much out of this. But between now and the end of the season, Rainy Mullenstein, Alan Kerbishley, whoever is in the backroom staff, I'm not too sure what they can do to stop this.
I don't see any club in this league that Fulham can beat. I don't see any club. Not even Crystal Palace. And Crystal Palace is below.
Oh, they are on an upward surge.
You know, not even Crystal Palace.
Not Fulham. At least But their standard over the years, this has been one of the worst.
And I recall this game as well, where they were losing by 2 goals to Man City in the first half. They come back, they draw level at 2-2, and then they implode again. They end up losing 4-2.
One would have expected that having come back from 2-0 down,
playing at home, that should get them going.
Of course, the momentum should have just gone from strength to strength. But once again, they were nowhere to be found.
But you know, when you've got a team that can't possess the ball for 10 to even 20 seconds,
that is serious.
There's no hope.
That is serious.
There's absolutely no hope.
You know,
if you look at what passes, they can't even string 300 passes per 90 minutes.
That is
they can't do 300 passes, whether it be long, medium, or short passes. They do not do 300 passes per match. That's absolutely diabolical for a Premier League side.
That is unacceptable.
You know, that's the type of statistics that makes you know that this is a club that's going nowhere.
Exactly.
Well, very difficult times for the team that plays at Craven Cottage these days. Well, as usual, there are standout players who might just make a difference going into some of these games. Let's get to see the players that the two clubs will be falling on. Well, Olivier Giroud, he's got, 19 games under his belt in the Premier League this season. He's only missed 2 games, I think. He scored 9 goals. That makes it an average of, 1 goal every 2 games. Not bad for a player who really got a look-in when Robin van Persie was in town. Who else are we looking at? Question marks about him in the last couple of weeks, but I'm sure that these things happen. MESUT ÖZIL, I mean, first few weeks at Arsenal, he was a bomb. These days, there are those who are saying that the performance may have dropped a bit.
No, he's still a stabilising factor. He's still a stabilising factor. You see, other clubs are now looking out for him. So you see, he's the way he was pushing himself up front before, he has to withdraw himself in order to receive the ball. Because, you know, managers are telling their players, don't let this guy play. Do you understand? So the type of football he wanted to play offensively and what have you, he has to withdraw himself, then he can get the ball, he can make 10 yards, then deliver a telling pass. He can't just move around as he was before. It's different because everyone has an eye open for him.
And I also believe that the physicality of the English game is beginning to tell on him now, and he will need some time to be able to adjust fully before he will
when you come in for 50 million euros, naturally a lot of pressure is going to be on you. Let's get to see the players from the Fulham team that maybe, just maybe, Nana believes that they're a team going down. Well, we've seen that for MESUT ÖZIL. Steve SIDWELL, I recall some seasons ago, he used to play for a certain Chelsea. Well, these days he plays for another club in London who's not doing very well. Steve SIDWELL might just make a difference for Fulham later this afternoon. And then who else might just make the difference? Well, Nana calls him bare but tough. He barely makes any difference at these days. Let's get to see their positions on the Liga table, and that could clearly give you an idea of the kind of form the two teams are in going into this afternoon's encounter. Here we are, Arsenal currently on top 48 points, and just look at how close it is there between the first and the 6th. It's so tight end there. So Arsenal at the top. Let's look out for Fulham somewhere in the second half of the table. We should find them somewhere, I'm sure.
Top against bottom.
Okay. All right, so they pop up somewhere. Not that bad. At least they're doing better than West Ham, Cardiff, Sunderland, and Crystal Palace. Never mind all the harsh criticisms that Nana has. Looks like we have the feed already, guys. I'm sure you're predicting for Arsenal. So let me just quickly hand over the feed for live action between Arsenal and Fulham.